Hello, good people. Spot of Nerd here with one of my favorite things to do with the YouTube Spot of Nerd, everything now that we're doing, podcasts, etc. But specifically at the end of each year, I think it's been a while because of the COVID situation, and we'll just say life in general. But I do want to do another one of the best and worst films of the previous year. Now, by the time this comes out, it is going to be 2023. So, it is what it is. Quite frankly, shit happens. So just deal with it. But, I've got my handy dandy list here. I'll pop up the posters in this general vicinity right here, and there's a lot of movies that I'm gonna kind of just blitz through. So I've said this before, I'm a broken record, but this is what I've been enjoying doing these videos and these podcasts a lot more lately, is because I'm not gonna do too much editing, thus I can just kind of spew first thought that comes to my brain and give you my take on what I thought was the best and the worst films of 2022. So, to kind of give you an idea, there were dozens. I've said this in previous podcasts, but a lot of these movies I watch through streaming services because there is no way in hell I would give my money to the box office. Specifically, what I did give my money towards there was a few Marvel films, of course, Black Panther, the new Avatar, The Way of Water, so on and so forth. And they're on the list, but, they are definitely not on the best of 2022 list if you have listened to the podcast or watched these YouTube videos, because Marvel is absolute trash right now, and it's officially actually dead for the moment. If it can be revived, dear God, I hope so. But there is not a lot of optimism behind that. We'll just say that. You know what I mean? But let me I've got my handy dandy tablet from a good old Samsung, because yeah, I won't go down that path. But let's just I really just kind of wrote them all down. You can kind of see here, and I put some notes by a few of them that I were like, okay, yes, that was good. Others were like, hell no. And then at the end of this video, I will give you what I thought was the best film of 2022 and what the worst film of 2022 was. There was a lot. And it was really tricky. It really was tricky to kind of pinpoint, okay, this was the best film because of this, or this was the worst film, not because I'm just being my usual Spot of Nerd critic, but because it really was a fucking god-awful film. So, a surprise great film, which you hopefully have seen. It's on Netflix right now. Bullet Train, with Brad Pitt, Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock, all sorts of good casts. One of those films that when you see the trailer, you just think, what the hell, this is just going to be one of those lame-ass movies that it's a popcorn film, but it's just kind of dumb, whatever it is. Epic film. Go watch that. Seriously, one of the better films of 2022. Brad Pitt is really starting to take on some just random projects like this, and it works. It really does. Even another one on the list that he did this year, I think it was this year. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kind of cross them out whenever I talk about it. But I know there was, what was it? The Lost City. That's right, The Lost City, which you can actually watch too on Paramount right now, Paramount streaming, because again, just a funny comedic story, and it's got Brad Pitt, it's got Channing Tatum, and it's got Sandra Bullock in it, and just a fun flick. It's funny, it's hilarious, it's a different story, and it's worth watching. You know, is it one of the best? Of course not, but it's just kind of a fun film to watch if you're looking for something you don't have to take too seriously, something that's not going to be a saga or a trilogy or whatever it is, but just a simple standalone film that everybody can enjoy. Maybe not the kiddies. I mean, obviously both of these films are very violent, so you might want to keep the kids out. Not the best idea. Let's see. So let's cross that one off. The obvious, Jurassic World Dominion, which was, I suppose, the final Jurassic Park film that we're gonna get, at least until they reboot it or they do something completely different. It got destroyed in the box office, and from critics, it didn't make the money, yada yada yada. I actually really enjoyed it. I really did. Is the story a little far-fetched? Yeah. Is it a little bit of a repeat of what we've seen? Sure. But I really do enjoy, I've really enjoyed the Jurassic World films, and the second one, I think everybody agreed, that really was a terrible one, but Dominion was kind of that really, I thought it brought everything together, especially when you bring the old cast in. It was perfect. I really do think, I mean, again, it's not perfect in an Oscar sense, but it's perfect in a, you've melded the old crew with the new crew, and you've done it in a way that I think was done exceptionally. I really do. From the story writing to the character development, the fact that you could still bring in those classic characters and make it work with the future Jurassic World. I mean, it's a feat that it's a big task, and I think they did it well. So for those of you that didn't like it, I get why, but I would, it's almost like the Indiana Jones. I've said this before. A lot of people hated Kingdom of Christmas. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was because it had aliens in it. Not forgetting that Indiana Jones, literally the first film, had ghosts coming out of a Holy Grail. It's not really far-fetched to have aliens in a Indiana Jones film, if you think about it. Let's see. What else do we do? Ooh, here was a bad one. If you've watched the Comic-Con special this last year, my future wife, if they ever were to clone her, is I think it's Ana de Armas. She is the main gal in Blade Runner 2049. I think she's a phenomenal actress, and she is just blowing up everywhere. And she even, another good film that I was actually looking on here for something fun to watch. She was in The Gray Man, which stars Chris Evans and what's his face? Ryan Gosling. Very James Bond-esque drama type film that was on Netflix. Very good film. Really, I mean, honestly, incredible action sequences, so you definitely want to check out The Gray Man. But what I thought was going to be great, and it just failed miserably, was her in Blonde. And it's so, I mean, it was really, it was really her chance to kind of get to a different level in terms of acting, I believe. And it's not to say she didn't do a bad job. I think what killed that film was the direction of the film. I mean, it's 3-4 hours long, and it is just weird. Not in a good weird. It's a wow. You shouldn't really have made this. Somebody else should have made this film. Like, let Anna be Marilyn Monroe. But dear God, you should have made this film in a totally different direction. So that Blonde is definitely one of those films you can ignore. Don't waste your time, because it really is a terrible film. One of the worst of 2022, so avoid it at all costs. Another surprise win was the Elvis movie, which I have no idea. I couldn't tell you for the life of me the guy who played Elvis, but I tell you what, it's the one with Tom Hanks, and it tells the story of Tom Hanks being his manager type guy. Incredible film. Honestly, if you love the biographic, those type of films where it tells the real story behind a legend, like Elvis or some other musician or person of interest in history. Just very well done. It's almost like a musical mixed with today's music, and they've incorporated a lot of detail, I think, and the way that he acts. If you look at footage of the real Elvis and the way he acted as him, I mean, you would not tell the difference. It's unbelievable, and it's one of probably the best soundtracks I've ever heard. Not just because of the Elvis music, but he sung a lot of the music that's in the film. He is singing it. It's not Elvis. It is him. And telling the difference between the two is, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I really could not tell you, because it's that good. Again, it didn't do so well on the box office, but I personally think, if you really are looking for something that's incredible to watch, check that out, because you will not be disappointed whatsoever, especially if you are an Elvis fan. And if you're listening to this on podcast, I do appreciate it, but as you can imagine, the stalls are simply me just going down the list here of all the movies that we're going to be still to talk about. So let's go over a few, just so I don't bore you to death. But if you want to watch some good ones that came out this year, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers came out on Disney this year, and it was really fun. If you were a kid that grew up in the 90s that watched Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, the movie is very funny. It's very comedic. It takes a parody of itself, but it's also very modern. Incredible film. Check it out. If you hate Disney for what they did to Gina Carano, which I am, because Disney can suck it for all I care by canning her, Terror on the Prairie was another fantastic film. You will need to subscribe to Daily Wire or find other means of watching that film, but again, after she got fired from Disney, thank God they picked her up and she nailed that role. Terror on the Prairie, just it's hard to describe in terms of, because the way the movie is filmed, it's very real and it's very graphic and gritty, and it's kind of during more of the like the 1800s period. So it's a standalone film. It's a great story, great writing, great characters. What I'm hesitant, and this is why I can't really think of too many words with it, is I'm hesitant because I hope it's not a one-off. You know, Gina is an amazing actress, and I wish her the best in her future. But you know, thanks to today's wonderful woke culture and bullshit agendas brought to you by the media and your politics and government, people that have free think usually get canceled or fired, aka what happened to Gina. So I do hope a real rebound is gonna happen for her in the future sometime. I really do, because she deserves the best. She's a strong, independent woman, and Disney, I thought that's what you wanted, but apparently you don't. So that's why I just basically say to Disney, kind of fuck you. Just like many of us, because even on a Star Wars level, you know damn well The Mandalorian, yes, is a great show. Without Gina, I can promise you it's not going to be as good. Season 3 comes out this year, because we are in 2023. I promise you it is not going to be that good, because you're not going to have Gina in it. And that's all. I'm just going to say that. That's all I'll say about it. Cartoon wise, now this is what was very interesting. Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Every couple of years, the Ninja Turtles reinvent themselves. They have different storylines. Some are CG, some are animated. When I first saw the cartoon, I just thought, hell no. What they did was they made the Ninja Turtles and they gave them mystic powers. They literally gave the Turtles mystic powers, and I thought, that's an absolute joke. It's stupid as hell. Then they brought out the movie. Incredible film. Now, you do have to be into a cartoon, but very incredible story, and the animation was out of this world. No pun intended, because it technically tells a story outside of the world. Beautiful, just incredibly well done, and surprisingly, now I'm actually a fan of the Mystic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's kind of weird, but I even bought the toys. I'm not ashamed of it. Sonic 2, great film. You have to see, if you enjoyed the first one, you'll love the second one. It's the same story. Let's not kid ourselves. It's just a sequel. The Adam Project with Ryan Reynolds, where he kind of meets his younger self to try to save his future self. It was on Netflix. That was a good, nice little sci-fi flick. Something you can watch with the family. It's not too graphic. The Day Shift with oh my god, I'm totally spacing on what his name is. Go look it up. It's on Netflix. The Day Shift, where they kill vampires. Extremely graphic, but imagine True Blood on drugs. It's incredible. Absolutely amazing film. It's hilarious because I think it's got James Franco's brother in it. You will laugh your ass off, and it's just one of those, especially if you're into vampires, it's just the perfect film. Go watch that too. You know, I'll give credit to Netflix. They have brought out a lot of pretty decent films. On the Hulu side, because I'm looking at some of the rest of these titles we're going to go over real quickly here. Prey, shockingly, was great. It really was a phenomenal film. Prey was a Predator film, based, of course, way back when one of the first Predators comes to Earth. And, you know, when I saw it during the Comic-Con, you see the trailers, you think, oh my god, this is going to be just one of those woke, just shoving all that crap down our throat type films. And it was actually really good. It really was good. It was a different-ish story, but it wasn't the same story that we normally get with a Predator film. So if you are looking for something in a Predator movie, Prey is something to watch. And the same with Hellraiser. Hulu remade Hellraiser. And that was pretty fucked up. That really was kind of, I mean, it's a good fucked up, but just if you've seen the original Hellraiser movies, you're gonna sleep with the light on for a few nights, because some of the costumes and some of the way the demons and the creepy thingies are, it's brutal. But if you're into that type of horror film, you'll enjoy it. You really will, in a weird, sick, sadistic kind of way. I don't need to go over it, but of course, Morbius with Jared Leto and unfortunately Doctor Who Matt Smith. Jesus Christ, that was a terrible fucking film and should have never ever been made. The fact that they cross-contaminated it with the now MCU, because Sony and Marvel, of course, still have their own rights to each characters. They somehow tried to blend it together, and it failed on every level. So don't go watch Morbius. Other Marvel films to avoid: Doctor Strange 2. Go back, of course, on my channel, check out my review. That was just atrocious, and that was the gunshot wound to the eventual bleeding out of Marvel, because what finished Marvel off this year was Thor: Love and Thunder. Jesus Christ. Marvel, I don't understand how you haven't figured it out yet, that when you throw bullshit down our throats and you go away from the original material of the comic books, you will lose your fan base, and lo and behold, you've lost billions. Supposedly, at least from what I've read, you've lost nearly $500 billion. That's on you. Black Panther 2, again, I did a really good review podcast on that, so go check that out as well. It was just, again, not one of the good films that was made this year. You know, you wanted it to be good so bad, because unfortunately with, Chadwick Boseman passing, you really wanted it to be good, and you really wanted them to continue that story, but instead they just did him dirty, and they just failed epically. And the result is something that I probably will never see again. I saw it once, I will probably never see it again, because I just have zero desire to see it. The first one, after I watched it, I went back and I watched the first one, because that first movie was just so incredible. And you just spoiled it by making that sequel. I'm not saying you can't not make a sequel, but do it right, for God's sake. And you did it every way wrong. Lightyear, oh god, that's another one. Do not waste your time with that bullshit. You didn't get Tim Allen. You focused it on something that was just so unnecessary. Just don't even waste your time. Lightyear, bullshit. It's not the worst, but it's just crap. Don't even bother. It's just garbage. Same Clerks 3, another one of what's his face? Oh my god, I'm spacing. Clerks, the guy that makes Clerks, James Smith, Kevin Smith. Yeah, the dude needs to just stop making films, because just to show you how bad, I loved some of his old stuff. I really do. I love the original Clerks. I love Jay and Silent Bob. The Comic Book Man, you can go check out my review on that. But you really suck now, Kevin. You suck so bad that when the movies you're writing right now and you're making, they're going straight to DVD. And that's when you know you need to stop, because you have failed and you're done. You are literally done when your movies are now going straight to DVD. So, Clerks 3, stay away from it. You are not missing anything whatsoever. Moonfall. I mentioned it a little bit before, somewhere in the YouTubes and the podcasts. Just a fun film, kind of the end of the world type. If you enjoy The Day After Tomorrow, That was kind of a good, kind of a interesting film, shall we say. Troll on Netflix as well was really, really good. Very different, and possibility of sequels. So yeah, you can imagine it's trolls that are living in today's world. They're destroying everything, but they were here originally, and there might be more of them. So interesting the way they filmed it, but overall pretty good. That one's on Netflix too, so if you are a lot of this stuff, just keep going back and look at the posters. If I've got them up here, but most of these are all on Netflix, so you will have days and days of stuff to watch, shall we say. On the DC side of things, Black Adam, here's where Black Adam takes a tumble. Was it a good film? Sure, it was decent. It had a good cast. I can't stand The Rock, but Pierce Brosnan I can. Visually amazing. Story was meh, it was okay. Here's where it fails. Spoiler. The end credit scene, Henry Cavill's Superman shows up. 1 week later, we get news that Henry Cavill will no longer play Superman. So Black Adam officially now makes no point, has no reason to exist in the movie theater world, in the live action film world. What's the point? You made the film, you gave us this excitement that you're going to bring back Henry Cavill as Superman, and now you're saying he's fired and you're going to go with a younger version of Superman. So once again, DC, you fucked yourself on that. Shame on you. But, I mean, if you are looking for something DC to watch, sure, go watch it. Another on the creepy horror side, the movie X. Imagine a porno mixed with violent murder and rage. Incredible film. Definitely not for the kiddies. Smile had some of the most disturbing imagery I've ever seen in a film. Not because of what happens in the film, like the way people kill themselves, but the way that the psychological factor incorporates itself in the film. It's fucked up, just to put it bluntly. Very good film, but damn, that ending scene, I can't even put into words, because just imagine you are fighting your own brain, but your brain has been possessed by a demon. It is severely messed up, but pretty cool though. Nope was a good one too. That was the one, gosh, I sorry, I could not tell you for the life of me these actors and actresses, but it's about a UFO and on a farm. It's really good. I just, I did a little bit of review, actually, if you go back, even on Instagram, I put a little post up about it, but one of those I didn't think much of, again, when the trailer came out, but once I saw it, I actually really did enjoy it, because it's got a great, it's like an E.T. vibe, but in a more violent way, and at the end of it, it's kind of, what's the best way to describe it? You know, it's not necessarily a bad thing that this alien is kind of eating people and things, because it also needs to survive. So at the end of the day, is it really bad if it's just trying to survive? Not really, you know? Pinocchio, the one with Tom Hanks, the live action, dear God, do not waste your fucking time with that shit. Deep Water, that was another one with Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck. Decent film with those two together. I only watched it because it had Anna in it, and you know, I'm in love with her, so don't even worry about that one. It is what it is. An incredible film, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which was Nick Cage at his finest, where he's kind of making fun of himself. He's in this action film, and he's trying to. He's basically he's got nothing, and like this drug lord wants to hire him just to have like spend time with him, and it turns out to be this big fiasco, and it really was a good film. So check that one out too if you are bored. Meet Cute, I did a little bit of a review on that too through the podcast. It's got the chick from The Big Bang Theory and the dude from Saturday Night Live, where she keeps going back in time the same day over and over and over again to fall in love with this guy that she just met. And it's a rom-com, but it was pretty cute. I enjoyed it. It's very reminiscent of like a Love Actually type film, if you love those, which you should. It's Love Actually, for God's sake. Dog was good. Channing Tatum. If you enjoy animal films, imagine Benji, but like better, you know, where he has to take this dog that was a military dog and the soldier died, so he has to take the dog to a new base. Of course, they basically fall in love with each other because, you know, the dog is aggressive and it only knows its owner, but of course Channing Tatum and them learn to basically coexist with each other, and it's a really cute movie to show that struggle of what do you do when soldiers die and they have these military pets. You know, what do you do with them? You know, you can't just kill them. I mean, unfortunately, probably that does happen, but in this movie it kind of shows the positive outcome of that too. So I promise we're getting to the end here, folks. Marry Me with J-Lo and Owen Wilson, another cute little rom-com, worth watching if you're into the cutesy stuff. Spirited on Apple TV with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. I turned that shit off in 13 minutes. I said this in a podcast before. If you're gonna shove that amount of politics down our throats within 10 minutes, you don't deserve any of my time. And I hope you don't deserve any of your time either. It's that fucking terrible. Stay away from Spirited as far away as you can. The Northman was incredible. Very much like a classic Viking film. Gory as shit. It's got Eric from True Blood, if you watched that old school HBO vampire show. Incredible film if you're into like a Viking history type film. And Barbarian, thanks to that film, I will never ever go to an Airbnb ever again, because apparently at the bottom of Airbnbs are incested monster creepy ladies who will trap you and keep you forever, and no thanks to that. Not for me. Uncharted, if you love the game, you'll love the movie, especially when you've got Mark Wahlberg and Spider-Man. You can't go wrong. I really do. I hope they continue. It's almost like a modern day Goonies film, so, you know, again, I'm not gonna go watch it every week, but it's something that'll definitely be maybe once a year type. Just a real fun film to watch, and there could be so many sequels because of the video game. I really hope they keep going with it, especially the two Spider-Man, Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. They really do work well together, so keep that up. Please keep that up, because it was just perfectly done. I'm just trying to think of another, you know, a good pairing of two guys. Owen Wilson and what was that? Wedding Crashers. Just a perfect duo there. Imagine Wedding Crashers, but in a Goonies sense. It was really that's the kind of film Uncharted was. So check that out too if you can. Death on the Nile. That's the one that's got Gal Gadot, if I'm saying her name right. Boring as hell, but visually entertaining. It's a kind of a murder mystery. Somebody died on this Nile River and they're trying to solve it. It's kind of boring, but visually it's entertaining. So if you're looking for something in that regards, check it out. Fantastic Beasts 3. Jesus, that's another one to take off your list, because I swear to God, watching grass grow is far more entertaining. Which leaves us, believe it or not, folks, we're getting down to the last couple here, and then I'm going to get to the best of the worst. So I mentioned it just briefly in the beginning, but I'll do it right now. Avatar: The Way of Water. You know, I did the review, so you can see my full review on it from in a previous episode, podcast, etc. It was okay. If you like the first, you'll like the second. But again, so many missed opportunities. Go watch my full review or listen to it, but I promise you, you will watch it once and you'll probably never watch it ever again. You really won't. It's just terrible. So, the worst film. And I'm sorry, but I did have to do, I'm looking at the list right now. I have 3 top films of 2022. One just peaks up to number 1, but I do have 3 that I'll go over here in a minute. But the worst film of 2022 was Hocus Pocus 2. I did a bit of a brief post on my Instagram, so go check that out. But the bottom line is, Disney has single-handedly destroyed our childhoods. They have done it by throwing woke crap down our throats, political agendas, and politics at every chance they can. They have taken classics like the original Hocus Pocus and they have destroyed them. And I am not afraid to say that out loud, because the bottom line is, these are fictional films. They are there to entertain us. And when you're gonna take a classic like Hocus Pocus, you better give us Hocus Pocus. Instead, you gave us a hot pile of dog shit. Just go read my review on Instagram. It will make sense more, but just the worst film of this year, no doubt, hands down, Hocus Pocus 2. That's all I'll say about that. And then, so, the top 3 best films of 2022 from Spot of Nerd, I feel is All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, and, of course, Top Gun Maverick. So, my number 1 pick is gonna be Top Gun Maverick. I did do a real good full review on it, and Top Gun Maverick was almost a perfect film. It really, to me, was almost a perfect film. It gave me hope that there is still movie people out there. There's directors and writers and actors like Tom Cruise that still care about giving us good movies that are dedicated to being proud of this country, to being proud of our military, just not using CGI and just, using real jets. It was fucking amazing. And if you haven't seen it by now, which most damn near this whole world has seen Top Gun Maverick by now, go watch it again. I have probably seen it at least half a dozen, if not a dozen times by now, because it is just that fucking awesome. All Quiet on the Western Front, another review I did on it. Beautifully done. Breaks your heart because of the realness of it during World War I, told through the German eyes. And that movie deserves an Oscar, because I swear, like I've said in my review, it is better than Saving Private Ryan. Hands down. It is a better film than Saving Private Ryan, I promise you. And one of the shockers was The Batman. Again, seeing sparkly vampire fucking whatever his name is playing Batman was incredible. The Batman was one of the best DC films, superhero films, live action I've ever seen. I mean, if you put all the Marvel films together and you put all the DC films together and you were to pick your top 3, the Batman's gonna be up there. It's that fucking good. So it's on HBO Max right now if you haven't seen it, but I promise you, you will not be disappointed, and it is crazy good. Just development from story, a very different story, which is, you know, of course with Batman, we don't need another origin story. It just picks right up right after he becomes Batman and goes from there. And it's being told in a real life scenario, so it could actually happen. Take the Nolan trilogy, but add some grit and grime to it. So it's really, really well done. Definitely check out those 3 and everything else that I mentioned too, you know, right above here, or here if I put the posters up correctly. So anyway, I know this has been a long one, y'all. If you've made it this far, I really, really do appreciate it. Let me know what you think. Throw it down in the comments. I really do. What have you seen? What did you like? What did you not like? I'd love to know. Tell me, what are you looking forward to in 2023? There's so much. For me, my number 1 I'm looking forward to is the Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Dear God, getting to see the Beast Wars on the big screen is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It really, 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 really is. So, I will wrap this episode up. Seriously, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you'd be ever so kind, throw me that subscribe right down below. Give me the thumbs up. Follow where you can. Subscribe, comment, like. Broken Record, you know me. Share Spot of Nerd wherever you can. And let's just get that message out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, hey, you got this far, and again, I thank you for that. But other than that, I think that's all we got, because I think I've talked too long. No, you know what? Because I could talk about this stuff for hours, and that's why doing these videos and this podcast is just that much more awesome now. So thank you, and sending my love to all the supporters out there who continue to follow Spot of Nerd. You guys rock. You keep me going. Thank you a bazillion times over and over and over again. Broken Record, ever. And we will see you guys this 2023 year at the movies. Later, y'all. Okay, no, real quick though, end credit scene. I totally forgot. Violent Night. I mentioned this just briefly in a podcast. You've got to watch it. I promise you, you have got to watch Violent Night. Home Alone meets Love Actually meets Die Hard. It's fucking awesome. Imagine Santa Claus just killing people left and right with a sledgehammer, stabbing people, blowing people up. It's incredible. Violent Night. It's got Hopper from Stranger Things. Do not miss that film. Please do it for me. Do it for Spot of Nerd.